pressuring their board to end its contract with the police department for school resource officers.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Protesters have also called for defunding the police, which President Trump has derided as a radical left proposal, saying he wants more money for law enforcement. The president visiting Maine and just signing a proclamation to allow commercial fishing at a marine conservation area off the New England coast. Environmental groups call it a devastating move. The president says conservation is important, but that the ban was unfair to fishermen. An Oscar winner wearing some new hats lately reveals an unusual injury.
Actress Cate Blanchett has accidentally cut her head with a chainsaw while in lockdown. The Australian actress revealing the injury during a podcast interview with former Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard last week. Blanchett saying, quote, "I had a bit of a chainsaw accident yesterday, which sounds very, very exciting, but it wasn't." Adding, quote, "Besides the little nick to my head, I'm fine." Blanchett and her family had been on lockdown in Sussex, England.
Fox's Mike Gunzelman, the mother of four, also picking up the role of teacher while everyone's been learning from home. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
You see so much when you look at your child. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. Curiosity that develops into exploring unique passions. A little leader growing every day to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make their mark on the world. At SCVI, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free K-12 charter school gives your child boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a customized learning program built around each individual student. As iLead's founding school, SCVI combines an immersive approach to traditional subject learning with extracurricular activities including STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. SCVI has the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, with a 10-year proven track record of graduates excelling at top universities. And we're in your backyard, just off the 5 freeway in West Santa Clarita Valley in Castaic. For enrollment information or to learn more about our program, including homeschool options, visit iLeadSantaClarita.org. iLead Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
Owning Corporation, Equal Housing Lender, licensed by the Department of Business Oversight under the California Residential Mortgage Lender Act, NMLS 1797976, California DRE license 02063270. Call 833-852-6464 for terms and conditions.
Crazy things are going on in the world right now, like owning funding 15-year fixed refis at 2.5 rate and APR. Yes, you heard correctly, 2.5 rate and APR with no fees of any kind. Needless to say, people are going to owning.com for this free closer rate and APR like mad. In fact, if you have both a real estate and mortgage license, we may want to hire you. Look, money is so dirt cheap, most folks are taking cash out of their equity to do just about anything, including sticking it into their bank accounts, just to have it there. Wouldn't you be crazy not to go to owning.com and grab 2.5 APR? No closing costs, no nonsense money while it's out there? Call 855-5-OWNING or go to owning.com to not miss these monthly savings. 855-5-OWNING.
Frontier Toyota, a proud supporter of my radio show with Rick Garcia, serving the Santa Clarita Valley for over 30 years. Experience Frontier Toyota's all-new hot and exciting 2020 Toyota lineup. Frontier Toyota, the Camry, Corolla, and Prius Kings. They're tops in Tacoma and Tundra trucks. Frontier Toyota, the new way of car buying. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom at Valencia and Creekside. Discover a whole new car buying experience with your friends at Frontier Toyota.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Here at Story with your hometown station. Weather, a sunny day today with highs in the upper 80s, low 90s, and overnight lows in the 60s. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, go to hometownstation.com or find us on Facebook at KHTS Radio.
98.1 FM and AM 1220. My Radio Show with Rick Garcia is coming to you live from your hometown station, KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM in Old Town Newhall, California. Now, My Radio Show with Rick Garcia.
Go ahead, bring it up, Patrick. Nice job, MC Patrick. Hello, everybody. Welcome to My Radio Show with Rick Garcia. Jessy, how are you?
Hello, I'm great, thank you.
Are you good? Patrick, you're fine, I presume?
I am fantastic because it is Friday.
Happy Friday, you guys. Great talking with you guys. Another home show as we continue to practice our social distancing and things little by little opening up out there. I was getting some takeout for lunch today, and I saw people going into the restaurant as they are allowing some limited seating in some restaurants. So that is something to look forward to. Yeah. Listen, things, you can't ignore that things feel like they're a little upside down right now in the world. You know, we go from dealing with a virus that has really kind of knocked us for a loop. By the way, it hasn't gone away. You know, people are still getting sick. It's still out there.
Right.
But we're now going to do our best to see how we can live with it and try to go on with our lives. That's important. We can't obviously ignore the fact that there were big events. We have people protesting. There's some civil unrest going on after the death of George Floyd earlier in the week, and it has kind of set people off, and understandably so. Even in the community where this radio station is located, there was a protest all day long yesterday, and it was a peaceful protest, and people exercised their right to free speech, and everything seemed to go well. And so things are a little upside down. You know, and it's interesting, and it's I have to admit, I've been kind of paralyzed with my thoughts about all of everything that's going on. And I think a good reason for that is social media is a tough place to be. I mean, it really isn't a playground. It's not a place to have a lot of fun. The radio station where this show emanates from, My Radio Show with Rick Garcia, it comes out of the studios of your hometownstation.com, which are located in Newhall, California, in Santa Clarita. And they've really done a terrific job with their news coverage of what's going on in town. But man, every time you post a story these days, it's like a powder keg, and it just kind of goes to show how truly divided we are. And so I think, as I'm being very delicate and careful about how I think about things, I kind of look at things as like a piece of cheese. You get to that piece of cheese at the end of, you know, you're looking to make a sandwich, and you get down, there's one piece of cheese left, okay? And you see around the edges that the cheese is kind of old, and what do? You tear off the edges, and you're like, listen, I got to have a sandwich, and I want to get to the part that's still good. So if you look at what happened with George Floyd, you can't deny what a horribly tragic incident that was. If you don't agree with that, well, you got to tear off that part of the cheese and say, you know what? There's no reason for you to be part of the conversation. If you believe that all cops are bad, well, you got to tear off that part of the cheese and say, that's just ridiculous. Most men and women in law enforcement are hardworking people that want to protect and serve, and they're great people. If you want to say all protesters are looters, you kind of tear off that part of the cheese and say, well, no, there are a lot of people who are passionate and they peacefully protest, and it's how our country got started, for goodness sakes, is because of protest. Then you just tear that piece of cheese off and say, listen, the bottom line to this is the middle part of the cheese is still good. There's something we can all agree on, and very often we agree on a lot. So for us, we're not going to try to tackle this. We're going to do a show today that we normally do, and we're going to do our best to talk about. There's a lot of great news coming up in terms of sports that are going to be starting up again. In fact, we even have an update on high school sports, which may be going pretty soon. But we are going to talk a little bit about some of the heavy stuff, and we're going to do that because you can't ignore it. And recently, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who is of course, you know, the legendary Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, wrote an op-ed piece in the LA Times talking about some of the unrest that's going on out there. And he had some very observant thoughts. He's a very introspective guy. He's a very intelligent man. But the part that I pulled from that, which I thought was really interesting, and in the way that I'm going to try to move this into a more positive direction, is a suggestion that Kareem had. And I want you to listen. Here it is.
Well, one thing that we can do, all of us, we can go out and make a friend of someone who doesn't look like us. You know, we have to understand what people's lives are like, people that we don't spend a whole lot of time with on a regular basis. But we have to get to know our communities, who are our fellow Americans. They come in all sizes and shapes and colors and religious faiths, but for the most part, they all believe in this wonderful experiment that is called the United States of America. And, you know, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that is the strength that will help us get through these horrible times.
That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He said that on ESPN earlier this week. In the interest of full disclosure, I reached out to Kareem's people. I've interviewed Kareem in the past over the years, and we invited him to be a guest on the show. He was booked from beginning of the week all the way to the end of the week, as you could well imagine. But I liked this concept of, you know, part of why we're in the situation we're in, I think, and listen, I'm far from a psychiatrist. I'm far from an expert. But I think there's a factor of fear in how we react sometimes to things. The fear can manifest itself in so many different ways. We fear other people. Maybe it's a person of color. Maybe it's a person's religion. Maybe it's a person's sexual preference. But for some reason, we're afraid of people. I don't know why that is. For me, I was really lucky. I wound up in an industry in news where it was like a melting pot. I mean, we had people who were black, who were Asian, Latino, Orthodox Jew, Christian, Republican, Democrat. I mean, it was a beautiful newsroom of people from all different walks of life. And specifically when you work in a sports department, which is kind of neat, is you'll find that it's not uncommon to have guys who played major college ball that their calling doesn't wind up being professional athletics, so they decide they want to go into broadcasting. So lots of the sports departments I worked in, we were probably 50% African American because these were guys who were athletes who wanted to play pro, couldn't do it, wanted to get into the next best thing, which was television. So when you're going out and you're covering these events, you walk into a locker room and it may be predominantly African American. You walk into another one, there could be a large subsection of Latinos who don't even speak English in some cases. So you're really in constant contact with people that are not like you, that are not like us. I've been very lucky. Now, if I would have gotten to that level and never been around different people in my life, it might have been an interesting and different journey for me. But I was really lucky, and I was very blessed that as a very young person, early on in my life, one of my early childhood memories is one of my closest friends who just happens to be African American, and I thought you should meet him as well. And so we've invited him to be on the show because my experience is different than a lot of other people's experiences. I grew up in the 60s. I was in the middle of civil rights unrest. And so I'd like you to meet my friend Joel Forte, who's, by the way, a local business owner. He is black. And Joel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I thought maybe I scared you away there for a minute. You're a local businessman. It's a black-owned business. When did you and I meet? Do you remember?
Yeah, we met in it was 7th grade, Joe Walker Junior High.
7th grade was the first time we met. I know a lot of times you'll tell people you don't remember how we met, and I'll tell people I kind of remember because you're also the son of a Baptist minister. You were raised to not get in fights or you'd be in big trouble. So when you got angry with if you got angry with somebody in school, the first thing you did was challenge them to a game of one-on-one basketball. And I have a feeling I think I got under your skin one day, probably.
Well, you still do.
Thank you. And you probably challenged me to a game. So we've been friends since we were, I guess, 13, 14 years old. That meant being at each other's houses. I went to your dad's church. You came over to my house to swim. We did all kinds of things together growing up. Our families, our children. Your three beautiful young daughters have grown up with my three beautiful children. I don't think there's anything that we haven't done together, and there's not probably anything we don't know about each other. Having said all that, I think you and I haven't really had any conversations. We have lots of conversations, but haven't really had any like what we're having now. You saw the video of George Floyd's death, and you said, unlike past situations, that you're kind of more affected this time. Why was that?
Well, it was just the sheer shock of seeing a man die like that. I mean, it was like they had pinned down some kind of animal or something, that they weren't pinning down a human being, and that just shocked me. I couldn't believe something like that could happen. I still couldn't believe something.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, it just felt like this was a non-human that was being killed. How could a human being be treated like that? I just don't get it.
Yeah, you generally aren't what I'd call an activist. You're a conservative Christian. That may be redundant, but you're a conservative person, and you really haven't been active in things like protests. And by the way, we went to college together at Cal State Northridge. There were in the when we were there in the late 70s, early 80s, they protested all the time on campus. I don't remember you or I ever being in any of those. But we
just thought they were a bunch of mad people. Yeah.
We thought they were nuts, right? But
they
you
were
woke up yesterday.
Angry people.
Well, you woke up yesterday and said you had some plans to do something, and you woke up and felt compelled to go out to the protests in Santa Clarita. And why is that?
Because I felt like that I was sitting on the sidelines enjoying my life, working with the people we work with, and it wasn't enough. I needed to stand out there and say, this is wrong. It's just wrong, and it needs to change. So I felt like I had to put some actions to my words, or my words would be hollow. So I wanted to join. So that's why I went out there.
So
my daughter was surprised because I've never protested before in their life. They've never seen me protest.
You called me and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing. What are you doing?" You said, "I'm out at the protest." And it turns out it was very near where I am, and I said, "Okay, well, I better come out and see you and the girls." And I brought another friend of mine with me who is also a very conservative person who I don't think would have really thought about going, but came and I think had the same feeling that I did, that under really organized and peaceful situations, you can kind of see how a protest like that could be effective and be okay. What's interesting about you is, and I want to get into the background of your dad and your grandfather grew up in Texas, and that was a tough time.
That's correct.
That was a tough time. And then I want to get to how you were raised, but just share, if you would, a story about what your grandfather had gone through a number of times.
Yeah, well, my father would tell us these stories about growing up in Texas, and I think it hits to what you just said earlier about ignorance. I think there's a difference, frankly. So I would disagree with you a little bit, but there's ignorance and then there's hatred, and I think there's a difference. But anyway, in Texas, my grandfather every once in a while would have to, when they would go into town to get supplies and all that, and he would bring his family. My dad witnessed my grandfather getting on all fours down on the ground and barking as though he was a dog, because these people would threaten him, and they were white people, and they would threaten that something would happen to his family if he didn't behave this way. And so my grandfather, to protect his family, would get down and bark like a dog, and then get up, and they would let him go on. And that, obviously that impacted my dad a lot. And so
having said that, though, Joel, one of the things he did was when he raised you and your brothers and sisters, you always told me that you never thought about being a victim, that it never occurred to you as growing up that you were ever a victim in any way.
No, because when my dad came out, there was a extreme hatred of these white people, if you want to call them that. But a Jewish man took my dad under his wings and taught him how to build, and then basically sponsored him and said, "Hey, you're too good to work for me the rest of your life. I'm going to sponsor you, and I'm going to help you own your own business." And that's what this Jewish man did. So my dad taught us it's not about the skin color. It's about the character. Never judge a man by skin color, no matter who he is. And he also taught us that there's prejudice that goes across all skin colors. So judge a person by their character alone, not by their skin tone.
Well, that's a Martin Luther King Jr. Judge a man by the content of his character, not by the color of his skin. Here's the thing, though, and the reason, by the way, you're listening to my friend Joel, my childhood buddy on my radio show with Rick Garcia. I'm kind of hoping this is an educational interview. We have things going on in our communities that feel uncomfortable at the moment, and I just thought it was important because, and here's why, Joel. I've always worried about you. I guess for me, it's interesting because as a black business owner whose customers are predominantly white, I always worried that maybe there were certain people that wouldn't want to do business with you because of your skin color. So that worried me more than it worried you. During coronavirus, I worried because of your high blood pressure that you wouldn't be careful enough to avoid the virus that's taking far more people of color. And I worry about, you're a very athletic person. You're fit. You like to work out. And I always worry, if my friend ever put a hoodie on and took a jog somewhere, I worry that somebody could call the police on my friend. I've worried about you a lot, but you, and this is what's wonderful about this, you just don't worry about that stuff.
No, I don't. I would like to give you one example of customers that I think the difference between I think people who are a little ignorant can be educated, and that's where Kareem, I believe, he's correct. If that can be corrected by just hanging around someone different, that solves that. And I've seen that. There was an old the guy was he was a German, and he called me on the phone, and I answered the phone for my business one day. He thought I was the receptionist, and so he came in and he asked for me. And when I said, "Oh, I'm Joel, I'm the one that talked to you on the phone," he had this strange look. And frankly, he said, "You're black." Now, some people would get offended by that. I laughed, and I'll tell you why I laughed. I said, "Yeah, I'm black." "Yeah?" And then he said, "You don't sound black." I said, "Well, what does that mean?" And he says, "Well," he had these preconceived notions of what a black person would be like. Well, he brought his coach in, and I said, "Well, do you want me to look at your coach?" He did, and I walked him around like I walked everyone else around. I went through it with him, and when all was said and done, he said, "I found the right place." Then he needed a ride back to his car. I said, "I'll give you a ride." And as we went, this is a true story. He looked at me, and I got in a Honda Pilot. He said, "You don't have a Cadillac?" I said, "No, I don't have a Cadillac." Now, that could be offensive to a lot of individuals. I didn't take it as an offense. I just said this guy is ignorant. So I drove him back, and by the time we got to the parking structure, this guy put out his hand and said, "Thank you. I'm glad I got to know you. I didn't know. But thank you. It's wonderful knowing you." That's what Kareem is addressing. That's ignorance.
Now, that's the whole point of this. Well, that's the whole point of this conversation. Is I'm one of the lucky ones. You and I, from the time I was a kid, I didn't know anything else. I love to share the story of daughter number one, because for years she knew you as Uncle Joel and your wife as Aunt Geraldine, and growing up forever, that's what all of our children called you. And then one day, daughter number one said to me, she probably was around 9 or 10, and she said, "Dad, I have to ask you a question about Uncle Joel." I said, "Yes, what is it?" She goes, "He's not really our uncle, is he?" And so I said, "Well, I'm glad you figured that out. He I guess you could say by blood, no, but he is our uncle." That's kind of the point I guess I'm getting at, is that which we don't know, those who we're not familiar with, we tend to be afraid of sometimes. And listen, I know that racism is a much bigger deal than you and I are going to solve. And I brought this up, and in the second hour, we're going to also try to get some spiritual guidance on this. But it's you can see professional athletes going at each other right now over this issue. Drew Brees, and we'll talk about his comments in the next hour, catching a lot of flack from teammates, and so it's something that it's a big issue right now in athletics as we get ready to gear up. But I just, after seeing you, and there's a, by the way, too, and I don't know if you've seen it, and I want to tell our listeners and our viewers on Facebook, there's something called the Tyler Merritt Project, and it's a beautiful video that is called "Before You Call the Cops." I encourage everybody to watch this. In fact, I saw it posted from a member of the LAPD who actually posted this. It basically is the story, and Tyler Merritt is a black man who basically talks about himself, Joel, and talks about, everything about him that he talks about was me and you and everybody else we know, because we really are all the same. There are certain things we all dislike, certain things we love, certain things we're all the same in so many ways. We don't realize how similar we are. I guess if you had a hope for how all of this turns out, what would that be?
Well, my hope is, the first thing, and that's why I protested. This should never happen to anyone, be it black, white, Asian, whoever. It just should never happen. And it shouldn't be tolerated in our society, and especially with policemen and so forth. Not all policemen are bad, no. But the ones that are, they need to get rid of, period. That's what I hope happens. Because the long-term thing is, you're not going to change a lot of this stuff unless there are what I believe heart changes. People who are ignorant, if they just get around other people, I think that solves that problem. But then the people who hate, whether they know you or not, that there has to be a heart change for that person to change, because they never will. That's my opinion.
Well, I appreciate you sharing, and I wanted people to get to know you, because I've been lucky, and it has had a big effect on my life. So I kind of, when Kareem says, "Hey, get to know people that you normally wouldn't get to know," and by the way, I'm talking about people who are black, people who have a different spiritual, religious belief, people of a different political party. Reach your arms out, and by the way, if you're going to do that, you have to listen. You have to listen to people. You can't be just doing all the talking. You have to listen to people, and I just believe that that's a good start. That's a good icebreaker that might help us through what we're dealing with.
Sure.
All right. We will try not to have too many of these heavy conversations with you. Because I know that your preference is to talk about sports, and I promise you, one of these days we'll have a little debate and a little battle about as the NBA gets started up here. So if you're willing to do that, maybe we'll have you back on the show. How's that sound?
Well, I look forward to that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right, Joe Forte. He's my childhood friend. He's also happens to be a business owner in the Santa Clarita Valley. It's a black-owned business, and I just thought it was important to hear a different perspective from somebody who kind of comes at it from both sides, who understands what's happening on each side of the issue. So I'm glad we got to hear from him. All right, Jessy, Patrick, you guys still there?
Absolutely, sir.
Should we get the show back? Let's get this show back on the road. Coming up, I don't know what you think about this. A-Rod and J-Lo are looking into the purchase of a professional sports team. Plus, have you ever had a teacher change everyone's grade in the entire classroom because of honesty? And we're going to give away some free stuff. You're listening to My Radio Show with Rick Garcia.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
This is a Rita's Daybreak. There's a huge crowd at Rita's. With so many amazing flavors, every day's a treat. Let's see what folks are celebrating.
I lost my first tooth.
No more training wheels.
My dog photo got 37 likes.
3 kids, 3 activities, 0 meltdowns. There you have it. Layer it, blend it, or drink it with Italian ice and creamy custard. So many reasons to celebrate at Rita's. This has been a Rita's Daybreak.
Chiquita Canyon Landfill takes the waste from our homes and local businesses and puts it to good use. With cutting-edge clean energy technology, Chiquita Canyon powers 10,000 homes each year by harnessing the methane gas from the landfill. So, the next time you wheel your trash can to the curb, feel good that your waste is on its way to making green energy at Chiquita Canyon.
Chiquita Canyon Landfill, our partner in sustainable living.
Hometown.
All day long, constantly.
Your hometown station, 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Hometown.
Santa Clarita News.
Your community connection.
Restaurants reopening and LA County school guidelines. I'm Jade Abashan. In-person dining, barbershops, and hair salons are now allowed to reopen in Los Angeles County as of Friday afternoon after California Governor Gavin Newsom approved the county's variance request. This move comes after a request from the city of Santa Clarita to Supervisor Catherine Barker and the Board of Supervisors to allow for a variance to reopen. Restaurants are held to the same guidelines that apply to places of worship and indoor shopping centers, with the number of people allowed in an establishment limited to less than 25% of the building's capacity or a maximum of 100 people, whichever is lower. The Los Angeles County Office of Education has released guidelines regarding public schools reopening, including requiring masks and hybrid classes. Both staff and students are expected to arrive at the schools wearing cloth face coverings and to wear them all day, according to the office's guidelines. While hybrid classes are preferred, in-person classes are encouraged to use outdoor spaces, weather permitting, to allow more students to be spread apart. For more on these stories and other local news, head on over to hometownstation.com. And now taking a look at your local hometown weather. We've got a little bit of rain today, which will gradually taper off with big temperature swings expected for the rest of the day. Highs in low 80s and overnight lows in the mid-50s. For anything Santa Clarita related, follow us on social media at KHTS Radio.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Did a full 180, crazy, thinking about the way I was. Did the heartbreak change me? Maybe, but look at where I ended up. I'm all good already, so moved on, it's scary. I'm not where you left me.
Welcome back to my radio show. I'm Rick Garcia, along with Jessy Holden, Patrick Suika. We're doing the home show still. You know what? I think we're going to be in that studio before you know it. We're going to all be cramped in there together, yelling at each other and getting angry with each other. Don't you think we get along better when we're separated much further than 6 feet? I know, it just feels like it. Listen, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. I hope everybody is safe and healthy out there. I know everything feels like it's upside down in the world, and you know, there are great things to talk about. Things are opening up a little bit. I saw folks going into one of the restaurants here in town to sit down and actually eat inside the restaurant. That was cool. Oh, by the way, I am really excited, Jessy. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I actually made an appointment to get my hair cut. I mean,
oh my God!
I am so excited. You guys,
I'm the last
you guys
one.
Have what? No, listen. I mean, it's the little things, right? And here's the deal. My hair's been growing out, and I was a kid of the 70s when I played sports in high school, and I was a high school kid in the 70s. You know, so we all had our hair like shoulder length, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought, well, that could be fun, grow the hair out a lot. But here's the problem with me. When my hair grows out, it doesn't look like cool and straight like like a cool dude. I look more like, and you know the guy that used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I know if the guy's in the back of the office, Andrew Polamalu, Troy Polamalu.
No way, really? Your hair turns
when
into
my
that?
hair starts growing out, I start to look like Polamalu. I mean, it just goes sideways.
I need a picture of this. I need a picture.
Well, that's if I grew it out all the way, because I have wavy hair. So, listen, I am thrilled and looking forward to the day that I get to get that hair cut. Because we're doing a home show, you know what that means?
Means I'm in the booth.
What are you wearing?
What are you wearing?
Also that too.
What are you wearing? Jessy, what are you wearing?
Today I am wearing some sweatpants and a hoodie because it's frigid in Santa Clarita today.
You know, I did wake up to a chill this morning when it was blazing hot yesterday. I've got the Under Armour sports shorts with the Adidas red Adidas sports top, so it's black shorts, red top. Listen, when we come back into the studio, I'm gonna miss being able to dress down like this. Doesn't it feel more formal? Like, hey, the bosses are gonna see us. That's why I wear a tux when I normally do the show.
You don't wear a tux in here. You wear like a dress-up shirt.
I don't. By the way, are we on Facebook now? I assume we are, Patrick.
We are. You can see my bright and shining face.
And folks, if you're listening to us on the radio or on the KHTS radio app, which I highly recommend, you can also watch us on Facebook Live at KHTS Radio. And you can see right now I'm looking at Patrick, and he's got his Dodgers jersey on. How about that?
Yes, sir.
Here's the thing. I know that we're all excited for Dodger baseball. I'm worried, though, and we're going to talk a little bit about it later on. And in fact, the next segment, we're going to talk about the sports that are going to get on track again. The NBA is closer. The NFL might be right on time, but baseball has hit a snag.
Yeah.
Baseball, unfortunately, has hit a snag. So with that in mind, what do you say we do Rick's Replay, Patrick?
Yeah.
Rick's Replay.
Third baseman Juan Sock Lee went 3 for 4 with a home run and had 8 RBIs. Yes, 8 RBIs as the Samsung Lions beat the LG Twins 12-6. Meantime, Dinos designated hitter Sung Bum Na went 3 for 4 with a home run. The NC Dinos beat the SK Wyverns 8-6. Those are your Korea Baseball Organization highlights. It is all the sports we have at the moment. I apologize. But it's something, you'll agree, right?
Yeah, it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay. Well, speaking of nothing, here's what's news to me.
News to me.
How about this report? Alex Rodriguez and his lovely wife. Actually, they're not married yet. Are they married yet, Jennifer Lopez?
I
don't think they are yet.
I think their wedding got postponed because of COVID-19.
Yeah, that's
They apparently are in talks with Robert Kraft, the Kraft family. You know, Robert Kraft owns the New England Patriots. They were in talks with the Kraft family about the prospect of buying the New York Mets.
Huh.
What?
Interesting.
Yeah. That would be, yeah. Go ahead,
A-Rod,
Jessy.
he never played for the Mets.
No, he
No,
was
he
a
did not.
Yankee. And before that, he was a Ranger.
Interesting.
But I think the idea of owning a baseball, any sport, I would love to own a sports team. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But it's gonna cost A-Rod and J-Lo hundreds of millions of dollars as part of their investment, because these teams are like over $1 billion, and the Mets the Mets aren't as valuable as, say, the Yankees or the Dodgers, I don't believe.
True.
But they're right up there, and it's a New York team. And I just want to throw this out, and this may be sexist on my part. Who do you think brings more money to the table, A-Rod or J-Lo?
I think J-Lo.
I'm with you. I think it's J-Lo.
Yeah.
A-Rod made A-Rod had was the first $200 million contract. I think J-Lo's the one with the money.
Yeah, I think currently right now, I think she's doing laps around A-Rod right now, money-wise, with finance.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Here's a story I love for you folks who are still in college, or maybe you graduated, or everybody who was in school can relate to this. A professor altered the grade of the entire class because of one student's honest move.
Huh.
The student came in, and apparently the teacher, the professor, had given the student a better grade than she should have had. They made a mistake in grading the paper, and it was a midterm. And so the student came in and said, "Listen, you got my grade wrong, and it should be a 10% lower grade than what I got." And so he was just blown away, because in his 20-plus years, he's never had a student come in and say, "Hey, you messed up my grade." Usually they fight to say, "Hey, it should be a better grade."
Right.
This student said it. So he went ahead and changed on a curve the grade of the entire rest of the classroom, which raised everybody's grades. I think that's awesome.
Really cool. Yeah.
What a great story.
He was trying. He goes, "I'm sure the rest of you would have come in just like her had it happened to you." Also, here's kind of a neat story of this. There's a sunken Italian village, which is at the bottom of a lake in Tuscany. It's a medieval village.
Whoa.
That every so often, I think the last time it was 1994, they drain this lake. It's an artificial lake, and they drain it every so often. And then when they drain it, you get to see this city. It's fully preserved.
Wow.
And there's like a dam in the area, when they release the water, it covers this old village again. And what they're going to do is they're going to drain it. Apparently, they're going to drain it permanently, so they can allow tourists to come in on a regular basis. So at some point in 2021, the mayor said they're just going to drain it permanently and let that city come to life. I mean, more as a tourist attraction rather than having people live there.
Huh, it's like the lost city of Atlantis.
There you go.
Yes,
should we give away some free stuff?
Yeah.
Free stuff.
All right, the first person to call 661-298-5487 or message us on Facebook at KHTS Radio with the right answer to my question will win a $25 gift card from Hanu Coffee. The NBA could be on a path to resume play soon. Basketball was invented in 1891. Who was its inventor? Jerry Buss, Abner Doubleday, James Naismith, or Mike Nesmith? The NBA could be on a path to resume play soon. Basketball was invented in 1891. Who was its inventor? Jerry Buss, Abner Doubleday, James Naismith, or Mike Nesmith? Call us at 661-298-5487 or post us on Facebook Live at KHTS Radio. If you're the first person with the right answer, you'll win a $25 gift card from Hanu Coffee. Good luck. Coming up, is it possible high school sports could be around the corner? Plus, the next time you're at Disneyland, don't be surprised if stormtroopers are nagging you, but for good reason. You're listening to My Radio Show with Rick Garcia. My headlines are brought to you by Frontier Toyota. The NBA Board of Governors approved a 22-team format to restart the season in Orlando, Florida. Under the plan, teams would begin training July 9th through 11th, with games played from July 31st to October 12th. The top 16 teams in each conference would be joined by the teams currently within 6 games of 8th place. The bottom 8 teams would have a play-in tournament to qualify for the playoffs. Major League Baseball's owners rejected a proposal from the players to start the season that included a 114-game schedule with no additional salary cuts. There was no counteroffer from the owners. The league was shooting for an opening day around June 30th. NFL coaches have been told they can report to team facilities today. The maximum number of employees allowed in each facility is 100. Players who were rehabbing injuries before the lockdown began can continue to work out in the building. But the remainder of the players aren't likely to report to team facilities until sometime next month. Now, how about an update for your high school athletes? Here's KHTS Sports Director Wyatt Smith.
Friday Night Lights.
Hello and welcome to Friday Night Lights on my radio show with Rick Garcia. This is KHTS Co-Sports Director Wyatt Smith, and this week I had the opportunity to speak with CIF Southern Section Commissioner Rob Wygod about the expectations for competition in the fall.
Well, the first thing that we want to make sure everybody's aware of is that all options are on the table. That's really important that everyone understands that we're really focused on returning fall, winter, and spring sports during the 2020-2021 school year.
The health and safety of student athletes remains the Southern Section's #1 priority, but Wygod also acknowledged that the size of the Southern Section presents unique challenges.
A section as large as ours, we have a tremendously large geographic area. So we have counties in the north in Santa Barbara, and to the east in San Bernardino, and to the south in Orange County, and in the middle with Los Angeles County, where there are varying issues and varying recommendations that happen in those areas.
With this challenge in mind, one scenario that's been discussed is the possibility of a return to play without all members of the Southern Section.
Certainly that's not our ideal scenario, but there isn't going to be a horn sounding and an all clear, or 100% of our program will all return at the same time. It's not going to happen in that day.
Southern Section officials have also discussed calendar adjustments, allowing less contact-oriented sports to return sooner, and other potential paths forward. For now, however, like so many other aspects of American life, the future of high school sports remains uncertain as the coronavirus pandemic continues. And that's this week's Friday Night Lights. Catch more of our segments on my radio show with Rick Garcia when sports return. And for more from my interview with Commissioner Rob Wygod, read the full article at hometownstation.com.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
In a Hollywood Minute.
Well, it looks like people are going to be heading out to amusement parks before we know it. At least it's going to happen out in Orlando, where Disney World is. But don't be shocked as we kind of ease into this with the pandemic that's going on. If you have a bunch of stormtroopers nagging you, you might hear a stormtrooper say, for example, "Yeah, I'm going to need you to move 1 bantha's length away, please." They're there basically to remind everybody about social distancing activities so that we can have a safer and more enjoyable time at the amusement park. A movie called Total Recall, which starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, turned 30 years old this week. Schwarzenegger talked about really hurting himself on the set of the show. Arnold's 72 years old now, but when they were doing a scene one time, his job was to break a window. And apparently you have to time it so when you push your arm through the window, they kind of make the window implode to make it easier. Arnold said the timing was off and he cut his wrist really bad. I can only imagine what Arnold would have said about that injury.
Oh, that hurts my arm. I got a cut. I need to go get a Band-Aid ASAP now.
Okay, thank you, Arnold. Some movies are starting to start up production again. I don't know if you know this, but Mission Impossible 7, can you believe there's 7 of them, is starting up production again. They were in the middle of filming the movie, and they had to stop because of COVID-19. So Tom Cruise, he's one of the producers on the film, they basically built a little mini city of really cool trailers that all of the crew and actors, they're all going to live together. Instead of going home at the end of the day for a shoot, they're basically going to quarantine while they're shooting the movie in Venice, which was really hard hit, of course. And it's going to be called a COVID-free village. And so they'll have a bunch of luxury trailers, the cast, crew, and everybody will be living together while they finish the movie. They say they're going to do mostly outside scenes in the beginning, which I think will also, they believe, will be more safe. So there you have it, guys.
Wow.
Thank you, Arnold. I hope you feel better.
I'll try to. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Arnold. Jesse, aren't we always lucky to have Arnold on the show?
I know. We always get the best and most unexpected guests.
I know, right?
Do. Listen, no knock on Scooby-Doo, but I think Arnold's my favorite.
Oh, thank you, Rick. I try to be your favorite. I really do.
What about me, Rick? Why?
Okay, we lost control of the show. We've lost total control of the show. All right. Coming up, the NBA's return plan is out. We're going to tell you what it says. Plus, Major League Baseball and its players are stuck in neutral as the owners reject another return plan. And we're gonna try to see if we can get a little inspiration from our good friend Rusty George from Real Life Church to, with all the stuff that makes us feel like we're kind of upside down in the world right now, see if we can get a little inspiration. You're listening to My Radio Show with Rick Garcia.
Hey, what do you think? What is it called? It's called a lakeside stank. Come along and ride on a fantastic voyage. I'm the captain of this vessel. We wanna take you on a cruise all around the land. Music is at hand. We wanna play it for you. You see.
Stone Oven, the healthy alternative. You've never tasted a sandwich like this before. Gourmet bread cooked before your eyes. Stone Oven at the food court at Valencia Town Center.
Save at the best Santa Clarita restaurants. Restaurant Row, where everything is half price. Click on hometownstation.com and discover incredible savings. Online or at our radio station, everyone saves with Restaurant Row. Check it out at hometownstation.com. Restaurant Row, where everything is half price.
This is Bradley Gross from Santa Clarita Grocery. Santa Clarita Grocery serves fresh groceries to families, individuals, and those experiencing homelessness. At Santa Clarita Grocery, out of every dollar donated, a full 99 cents goes directly to the needs being addressed. As an all-volunteer-led organization, we operate on a 1% overhead, receiving no government funding for our operations in the community, resulting in us being one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. If you're looking to support the good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery. What is donated is specifically kept in the Santa Clarita Valley, helping over 3,000 families, including 5 other community charities. Please visit our website, santaclaritagrocery.org, or visit us on social media or call us at 425-7575. That's 425-7575.
You can be a hero. Become a resource to a child and their family. Apply to become a resource parent and foster or foster adopt siblings. Children's Bureau is now offering an online foster adoption orientation for individuals and or couples who are interested in helping children in foster care while reunifying with birth families or to provide legal permanency by adoption. Call 800-730-3933 or visit allforkids.org. That's all, the number 4, kids.org.
KHTS, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 2 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
Renewed hope for recovery. Lisa Brady, Fox News. The Dow up 829 points, closing back over 27K for the first time since early March. After a surprise in the May employment report, jobs gained instead of lost as businesses started to reopen. President Trump says it may be the start of the greatest American comeback ever.
Next year will be the greatest year, I think, economically speaking, in history for our country. Only one thing can stop it. Somebody like Sleepy Joe Biden.
The presumptive Democratic nominee holding his own event on the economy.
The fact is that about 13 million fewer jobs today for American workers than the day President Obama and I left office.
He calls the president's pandemic response disastrous and says he's deeply worried. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi crediting Congress with the May jobs report and urging the Senate to take up more coronavirus relief. Today, the president signing the recently passed amendments aimed at making a popular small business loan program easier to use. And he thanked Democrats while calling their relationship disastrous. A vote for change by the Minneapolis City Council after talks between the city and state. Fox's Jeff Manasso.
Minneapolis agrees to ban all chokeholds by police and require bystanding officers to stop them. It also limits crowd controls in the wake of George Floyd's death and charges against 4 Minneapolis police officers.
Mr. Floyd's death is just one instance of unthinkable violence against black men. Our community, especially communities of color, has a deep mistrust of law enforcement, given the actions of Minneapolis police officers over decades.
City Council President, Democrat Lisa Bender, as the council also considers disbanding the entire police department.
Supporters of that idea say sweeping change is needed. They want to replace the police department with a different public safety organization, which may need court approval. America is listening to Fox News.
Do not hire Franklin & Sons Electrical. The guy told me he'd shrink my monthly bill, and I'm like, dude, it's too small to read as it is.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
Then he's like, where's the circuit breaker? I'm like, bro, I didn't break anything.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial auto and business insurance.
He told me I had a blown fuse. It's called a short fuse, and yes, I do have one, so watch yourself.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
We're all in uncharted territory, looking for ways to support our communities. At Dell Technologies, we're making sure small businesses have the right tech solutions. Dell Technologies advisors are here for you, from helping small businesses stay connected and productive while working remotely with Windows 10 and Microsoft Teams, to rapidly deploying remote work solutions that limit upfront costs with Dell Financial Services. We're standing by you every step of the way. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
A show of support for protesters from the mayor of Washington, D.C., where the atmosphere right now is a sharp contrast to the violence that left an historic church on fire earlier this week.
Mayor Bowser came here to unveil this new Black Lives Matter Plaza sign, the new name for 16th and H Street outside the White House in Lafayette Square. Because it's been so peaceful, Mayor Muriel Bowser wants all soldiers to go home. Our colleague Jennifer Griffin is reporting all 900 remaining active duty troops outside D.C. have been ordered home, but over 5,000 National Guard troops remain in D.C., and some don't have a place to stay. Utah Senator Mike Lee expressed outrage over Guard members from his state being evicted from a D.C. hotel.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson, the mayor, has said there's a hotel billing issue that the Army should resolve. Today, the phrase Black Lives Matter was painted in giant yellow letters on the road leading up to the White House. 2 Buffalo police officers under investigation after a viral video of a 75-year-old protester being shoved to the ground and injured.
What we saw last night in front of City Hall is not acceptable here. It is not acceptable anywhere.
Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz says a united effort is needed to support both peaceful protesters and members of law enforcement who honor their pledge to protect the public. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says the 2 Buffalo cops should be fired. For now, they're suspended. Cuomo also unveiling a police reform agenda that, among other things, calls for banning chokeholds. Texas Governor Greg Abbott urging residents to prepare for Tropical Storm Cristobal.
We don't know right now what may be needed. The time to get ready for a very quick evacuation would be right now.
Forecasters aren't sure yet where Cristobal is going. It could hit central Louisiana Sunday. After dumping heavy rain on Mexico, the system regaining tropical storm status today. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
Fox News commentary.
I'm Jimmy. Order any breakfast combo and we'll sweeten the deal with all-you-can-eat pancakes. So get out your all-you-can-eat silverware, because these pancakes aren't gonna all-you-can-eat themselves, because pancakes don't do that. Get IHOP's all-you-can-eat pancakes with any breakfast combo. Or just get the all-you-can-eat pancakes for $4.99. What else you got going on today?
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
The coronavirus has put us in a position of creating a new normal. Family Law at Home understands. Their goal is to meet you in the safest place possible, and these days that might be in your own home in a virtual meeting. Family Law at Home will provide you with immediate advice on your family law matters, such as divorce cases, child custody disputes, and domestic violence. It's as easy as going to FamilyLawAtHome.com. You'll choose your own consultation date and be in immediate contact with one of their esteemed attorneys. Family Law at Home handles the legal aspect while you and your family navigate the new chapter in your lives. Go to FamilyLawAtHome.com.
Save water and save money. SCV Water wants to help you find your fit and take advantage of conservation rebate programs that will help you save. Water your landscape more efficiently. Replace your lawn with water-wise plants. Conduct free in-home water surveys. Cover your swimming pool and more. Find the programs that fit your needs and start saving today. Visit conserve.yourscvwater.com to learn more.
That's conserve.yourscvwater.com.
Third story with your hometown station weather. A sunny day today with highs in the upper 80s, low 90s, and overnight lows in the 60s. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, go to hometownstation.com or find us on Facebook at KHTS Radio.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
My Radio Show with Rick Garcia is coming to you live from your hometown station, KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM in Old Town Newhall, California. Now, My Radio Show with Rick Garcia.
Welcome to My Radio Show. I'm Rick Garcia. You are listening to us on AM 1220 and 98.1 FM. And you're watching us on Facebook Live at KHTS Radio. Hello, Facebook. I know you don't see me there. You don't see Jessy there. We're doing the home show. We're still practicing our social distancing. Don't forget, you can find My Radio Show on YouTube, the My Radio Show podcast, which you can find at hometownstation.com. And we love to remind everybody that if you download the free KHTS Radio app, you can listen to us anywhere in the world. Time for My Headlines.
One sec. There we go.
Headlines.
All right, My Headlines brought to you by Frontier Toyota. The NBA Board of Governors approved a 22-team format to restart the season in Orlando, Florida. Under the plan, teams would begin training July 9th through July 11th, with games played from July 31st to October 12th. The top 16 teams in each conference would be joined by the teams currently within 6 games of 8th place. The bottom 8 teams would have a play-in tournament to qualify for the playoffs. Major League Baseball's owners rejected a proposal from the players to start the season that included a 114-game schedule and no additional salary cuts. There was no counteroffer from the owners. The league was shooting for an opening day of around June 30th. NFL coaches have been told that they can report to team facilities today. The maximum number of employees allowed in each facility is 100. Players who were rehabbing injuries before the lockdown began can continue to work out in the building, but the remainder of the players aren't likely to report to team facilities until sometime next month. Well, you know, things have seemed to be, I keep using the expression upside down, a little upside down.
Right.
We've been all dealing with COVID-19 and the coronavirus. And by the way, hello, Jessy, and hello, Patrick. I apologize if I didn't say hello. How you guys doing? Everything good?
Fantastic.
Doing well.
Great. Well, the weekend's here. That's great news. Things are starting to open up. I think I told you guys I made an appointment for my haircut. I couldn't be more excited. And I saw people going in to the local islands to actually go and sit down in the restaurant to eat. So that's a great thing. In the meantime, there are other things you can't ignore. You can't turn your back on. The fact that we have some civil unrest in our country. We've even seen some protests in our own backyard out here in Santa Clarita. A great NFL quarterback, Drew Brees, a guy who has always been loved by his teammates, got into trouble earlier in the week, this on the heels of the tragic and horrible death of George Floyd. But Drew Brees made the comment when asked about the fact that there could be even more protests during the national anthem when players take a knee. And he said that he made comments saying he could never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag. Now he has come back since then and said he completely missed the mark when he made those comments. He got a lot of flack from not only players in other sports, including LeBron James, but also his own teammates in the locker room who've really had high respect and high regard for Drew Brees. And part of the reason for that is that, of course, there's a strong feeling that if you take a knee during the anthem that you are disrespecting the flag or disrespecting the troops. But the people taking the knee will tell you it has nothing to do with the flags and nothing to do with the troops. In fact, LeBron James said, my stepfather fought in the war, and we've had this discussion that we are protesting passively and peacefully social injustice. So that's where we are right now, and it's going to take much greater minds than mine to figure out how we're ever going to solve this problem. But you know what? we're doing our little part on this show as best we can, and so we thought this is a good time to invite our good friend Rusty George, who's the lead pastor at Real Life Church in Santa Clarita, to join us. And Rusty, thanks for being with us. We appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Rick, for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
So, listen, I know you're a huge sports fan, and Drew Brees took some heat for his comments. He later said he missed the mark. He also went on to say something that I thought was really, really important. He said he needs to do a better job of listening to others. Do you think we listen to each other enough?
No, I don't think we do at all. I think we are quick to react because we want to solve things and move on. And I think in that case and in all of our cases, it would be wise for especially white America to just stop and listen and follow the lead of our African-American brothers and sisters.
You've addressed the issue. You've been very busy, in fact, on your social media posts. You've been really passionate about the issue of racism. Can you share some of your thoughts here now?
Yeah, I think at the heart of racism, it's just evil. It is looking at somebody and devaluing them, even though they're a human being, but devaluing them simply because of their skin color. And I think those of us that don't have that same skin color could never understand what it's like to be in those shoes or to be in that skin. And that's why it's so important for us to listen about what it means to fix this and what it's like to be in that situation. What was it like for somebody with black skin to watch that video of George Floyd? It was horrible for all of us. But what was it particularly like for them? I had a great conversation with some African-American pastors in our community and just them talking about, the realization that could be them, that could be one of their children. It puts things in a different light, and it helps me begin to see things in a different light because I haven't had the same experience that others have had. So I think it really does begin with listening. I think it was in the book of James where he says, everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to become angry.
Oh gosh, I mean, the words I need to take to heart myself. I mean, we all do it. We all seem to want to talk past each other to make our point. I know that I'm going to be so much smarter if I listen more. Rusty George is the lead pastor of Real Life Church on my radio show. Normally church is the one place you could go and have it be one big happy family. And, everybody usually seems to be pulling in the same direction. There's something about the environment today a little bit that makes me believe it's a tough time for pastors all over the country. Just as an example, the pandemic hits. People are told to stay home, and then all of a sudden we kind of break off into two sides. And I'm just talking about Christians right now. This is going on all over the place. But even with Christians, you got the folks who just have to physically be in church, and then you have the other half of the Christians who are saying, I'm not comfortable being there yet. I want to stay at home. What has that been like for you, and how have you handled that?
Well, that has been frustrating. Obviously, I mean, you and people with opinions certainly find a way to get those opinions to you. I know you've experienced this too, and we often refer to this as there's red light, green light, and yellow light people, and there's a lot of people that are green light, like let's meet. Forget all these rules and social distancing. We're making too much of this. Let's just do it. And then there's, red light people that are just, we should not meet at all for the next couple of years or till there's a vaccine. And then there's some people that are kind of in the middle. They're yellow light people, and they're, I don't really have any thoughts about that. So I think we're just waiting to see when we can do this in a way that respects our leaders. Definitely want to be people that honor our government and the officials that are there to protect us, and we want to protect our people too. No pastor wants to have their church become ground zero of an outbreak here in our community. So we want to protect people, and so our position, as with about 17 other churches here in the community when we signed this letter that was in the Signal a few weeks ago, is we're not opening until we are for sure able to do so in a way that's safe. Now, that was before, obviously, the governor and then the county came out and said that we could begin meeting with limitations up to 100 people. So that allowed some churches to begin to meet, but in our case and many others, not yet. Some churches are going to begin doing services and allow up to 100 people to enter into the building, and then the rest are watching online. I think we're probably going to do that by June 28th weekend when we kick off our At the Movies series and allow people to view that both in the building and also online. So we're excited about meeting together, but you're right. It's been a difficult thing to navigate because there's so many opinions and so everybody's kind of anxious to do it.
Rusty George, lead pastor of Real Life Church, on my radio show with Rick Garcia. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but you didn't feel the need to have this discussion before we went on, so forgive me up front. Let's talk just for a moment about the protests. I mean, like COVID-19, there are two teams. It just makes me crazy that we have two teams about everything now. There has to be a red team and a blue team. There just can't be hey, we're one big team. The protests, it's the same thing. You're either on one side or you're on the other, it seems. How did you feel it was the church's responsibility vis-a-vis the protests?
Yeah, our position is we're for everyone. And it's not that somebody matters more than somebody else. It's a little bit like if you're living on your cul-de-sac and somebody's house is on fire, you call the fire department and they show up and they only spray the hose on the house that's on fire, not every house that's there. And in our case, we feel like our black community is on fire. They're hurting. And so we want to be there for them and minister to them. That's no disrespect to our amazing police department and the incredible first responders that we have. We just want to minister to them and support them. I was so proud of so many church leaders who were out there yesterday praying for people, pastoring people, passing out water bottles, just there to say, listen, we're not picking sides. We just love you guys, and we're here to support you. We just think that's what Jesus would be doing. So I know what you mean. I think anytime somebody, stands up with somebody else, it means they stand against somebody else. But the only thing we're standing against is racism.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. I came to those thoughts on my own. I realize that some people, need counsel and advice to sometimes make their decisions. And I'm with you. Both can be true. You can stand up against racism and love cops. I don't know why it has to be an either or. I don't think it is, and I'm glad to hear you say that. And part of the reason I needed to have you on this, I say need because I mentioned this in the last hour. I've kind of been paralyzed in thought. I'm a guy with very strong opinions. You want to have a beer with me or a glass of wine, and I'll debate you on anything. I'll debate you on spirituality. I'll debate you on sports. I'll debate you on politics. I'm okay with that. I don't do that on this show, and I never do it on social media because there's too much ugly out there as it is. So we try to have a little bit more fun. But going through what we're going through, and as we continue to shout over each other, and we repost political stories that make us even angrier on our social media sites, and we create an even larger wedge, and then we go back to church and we say, hi to Bob as if nothing ever happened. I mean, I've watched friends become enemies because of how they interact on social media. Do you have any advice on I know what the advice is when we're in church and we're shaking hands and we're hugging and we love each other. Once we get out the building, though, Rusty, we kind of become different people. What can I do to be better when it comes to, that whole other world of social media?
I think you said it right at the top of our conversation, and that is we have to ask, what's it like to be you? Help me understand how you're feeling during this time, whether that's to a person with a different skin tone than you or maybe even to a police officer. What's it like to be you? Give me a day in the life. Help me understand, and just listen. And I've found if you follow up with 2 or 3 more questions, you'll begin to kind of peel that onion back a little bit further to get to the heart of it and then begin to understand a little bit. You may not always agree, and you may uncover things you don't want to hear or see, but I know that we're always better after it if we've come to a little bit more understanding with each other. So it's kind of the solution for almost everything, right? whether it's in this situation, whether it's in business negotiations, or whether it's in your marriage. Quick to speak, or quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry.
Listen, you gave us the good update on when it might be time to start seeing you in person. I'll give away a personal opinion on this. You know how I feel about seeing you live and in person. That's my preference. I use this may be a bad example, but I said to some of our mutual friends, listen, do I want to go sit in the park while Earth, Wind, and Fire's performing next door, or do I want to be in the arena? And so I've always much more enjoyed my services live. I have to be honest with you, I've gotten used. I moved from my master bedroom down to the family room on the big screen to watch the services on Sunday. That's a big deal now. I'm getting very comfortable on that couch.
Yes, I think a lot of people are, and we were joking with my family today about how, the things you're able to do while watching online that you can't do if you're seated in the auditorium. There's nobody getting up making toast or playing with the dogs or, playing games on your phone. That's kind of what goes on online right now. But the online experience right now is so good that it would seem like if we tried to come back right away, it'd be so difficult because you're social distance, you're wearing masks, only 100 people, no children's ministry. So right now online is good. And I think a lot of people are like you, Rick. They're beginning to discover, hey, this online thing isn't bad.
It's not too bad. All right, listen, before I let you go, it would only be right of me to I know you are fired up about the prospect of the NBA. The owners came up with that new plan to get the season started. The players, I understand the vote is all but a formality on that. Some teams are going to be left out of this playoff run. That won't affect you because I know you're huge Lakers fans. Right. Do you think, I guess I'm trying to figure out a way to couch this. Do you think the quality is going to be what we want it to be? Do you think that all that momentum that the Lakers had before this pandemic hit us is going to be there when they come back?
Well, I think it will be easier for teams like the Lakers because they have veteran leadership. I think they'll be okay. It's the teams that are pretty young. I think about even the Sixers and a few other squads that have a lot of, late 20-something players that don't have a lot of playoff experience. They won't have that crowd to feed off of like they would have before. I think a guy like LeBron, I think a guy like Kawhi, Harden, those guys, they can go ahead and find it within themselves to have the ambition to fight for the title. It'll be really interesting. I think it'll be more boring than we think to watch it on TV because there's no crowd. So you don't have that, the kind of antics that go on with that. But, boy, it'll just be fun to see competition again. I found myself watching cornhole the other night, and there's something wrong with that.
We had some Korean baseball highlights in the show earlier. You missed it. We'll have them again, though, in case you want to hang around. Listen, I'll leave you with this one last thing. There was a report that when all the NFL players get to return to camp, which I think is sometime in July, that Patrick Mahomes has to wait until mid-August before he comes back.
Well, they just want to make it more, level playing field for everybody else. So.
You didn't buy that for a second, did you? Defending Super Bowl,
but I think it was fair.
Enjoy it. You get to own it for up until that first game in September, brother, and then they are no longer the champs in my eyes.
Well, that's fine if you say that, but we're still the champs until another one is crowned. So I think that's going to be 3 or 4 years. So,
see, there's a debate right there. All right, Rusty George, lead pastor, Real Life Church. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for the pep talk. We could really use it today, and we will chat soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rick and Jesse and Patrick, and always great to be on the show.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, Pastor Rusty.
There you go.
Bye-bye.
I feel better. I'm feeling better already, you guys. I think that's what I did that for our viewers and audience, but I really did it for me, because I, like I said, everything that goes on around me, I've just, you kind of get paralyzed with, you get a little depressed and you're thinking, oh, can't we just all get along, and so it's nice to hear that from somebody who's smarter than I am. That's for darn sure. And by the way, and so I did it for me, but what's the name of the show again, Patrick?
My Radio Show with Rick Garcia.
Thank you very much. It's My Radio Show. Coming up, scientists now think they know where some radio bursts in space aren't coming from. plus why the discovery of something called supersonic metal is important. And we're going to give away some more free stuff. You're listening to my radio show with Rick Garcia.
Comfort Keepers provides your loved one with loving in-home care.
Miles McNamara, certified senior advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers in-home care.
Our caregivers can help you in your own home, enhancing independence, creating safety and comfort. Our Comfort Keepers provide companionship, meal preparation, medication reminders, assistance with personal care, and even transportation to doctor's appointments. If someone you love can use a helping hand at home, visit comfortkeepers.com.
Or call 287-4200.
Hi, I'm Eric Goldhurst, Head of Operations for Burger King North America. Throughout this time, we've taken steps to take care of our guests.
And since we know many of your jobs have been affected by this crisis,
we want to help make sure you're taken care of too.
If you are looking for work, we are hiring.
And there's a spot on our team for you.
We know that we'll get through this together, as long as we keep taking care of each other.
For more information, call 253-3283. That's 253-3283.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
No contract pest control. Did you hear that? Yes, Unipest has no contract, low impact, affordable, and environmentally and family friendly pest control options with orange oil or other family friendly products. Whether it's ants, spiders, gophers, termites, or bed bugs, Unipest Termite and Pest Control has an effective, eco-friendly option for you. Call Unipest today for a free orange oil inspection at 661-BUG-7575 or visit unipest.com.
Frontier Toyota, a proud supporter of my radio show with Rick Garcia, serving the Santa Clarita Valley for over 30 years. Experience Frontier Toyota's all-new hot and exciting 2020 Toyota lineup. Frontier Toyota, the Camry, Corolla, and Prius Kings. They're tops in Tacoma and Tundra trucks. Frontier Toyota, the new way of car buying. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom at Valencia and Creekside. Discover a whole new car buying experience with your friends at Frontier Toyota.
Hometown.
All day long, constantly.
Your hometown station, 98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back to my radio show with Rick Garcia, Jessy Holland, Patrick Sweek are here. How you guys doing?
Heyo.
Great.
Hey, Jessy, if folks want to be part of the show, how can they do that?
If you're listening, you can post us on Facebook at KHTS Radio, or you can call us at 661-298-5487.
And by the way, you guys have looked outside, obviously, today. A reminder, we're doing the home show again. We're continuing to practice our social distancing, and hopefully we will get back in the studio before long. But things are opening up. I mentioned I saw a local restaurant where folks were actually going inside, and I'm told that they're doing like every other table in the restaurant, so they want to be extra careful in there. And I saw most folks being responsible and wearing their masks until we get through this and learn to live with it. Also, Jessy, it was pretty cold this morning, huh? It still is a little chilly out there.
It is. The June gloom has officially arrived, I guess.
You know what's funny? It's in the 60s outside.
Yeah.
And I know it's eventually, by the time the day ends, maybe we'll get lucky and a little sun pops out. Or actually, it's 70 degrees outside now. But people, when I was in the news business on television, I have, with all due respect, and I love all of my wonderful and talented meteorologist friends that I had in the business, and many of my news reporters. But we would get out and send a crew out to Riverside and to do a story on the weather. and you'd have a reporter out there and a meteorologist in the studio and talking about, man, it is so cold out there and it's freezing. And let's go out to the reporter and they're bundled up in a jacket and it's 59 degrees, We couldn't help but think that people from out of town, like from the East Coast, are going, oh, brother, you got to be kidding me, you people.
Or up north.
That's how it is. We're not used to this kind of weather, right?
No, this is not tank top weather to us.
It isn't, but it will be soon, I'll bet. You watch.
Aw.
How about Rick's replay, Patrick?
Yes, sir.
Rick's replay.
Third baseman Juan Sock Lee went 3 for 4 with a home run and 8 RBIs. Yeah, he had 8 RBIs as the Samsung Lions beat the LG Twins 12-6. Meantime, Dinos designated hitter Sung Bum Na was 3 for 4 with a home run. The NC Dinos beat the SK Wyverns 8-6. Those are your Korea Baseball Organization highlights. It's all the sports we have at the moment, kids. And but hopefully soon we'll be able to do some NBA highlights because those seem to be coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Here's what's news to me.
News to me.
Are either one of you, Jessy or Patrick, science geeks?
I would say maybe. Yeah, I'd say yes.
I know you like science fiction.
I find it like.
Go on, Jessy.
I find it interesting, but it's not for me. You don't want me to be a scientist in a lab.
No.
Very true.
I will remember that. I'm assuming that means you will not be discovering the vaccine for coronavirus.
No, not today.
So, astronomers, they're constantly monitoring space. They're sort of like ADT or Ring. They're keeping an eye on things that are going on out there in space with all their big satellites and all kinds of equipment. We've been getting these mysterious, what they call radio bursts that come from space, and we've been getting them for a long, long time. And it's always kind of been a great mystery of the galaxy. And always the question is, where do they come from? And the theories have ranged from anything from supermassive black holes to signatures of technology developed by advanced civilizations. I guess that would mean beings on another planet, right? Well, apparently, scientists are getting closer to figuring out by ruling out. It's a process of elimination. So what they are saying now is they don't think it is the black hole. They don't think black holes are at the heart of those radio signals right now. As one scientist said, he said, just like when you do video calls with colleagues and it shows you their homes and kind of gives you a bit of insight into their lives, they're now looking into a lot of these galaxies and they can see some of the radio bursts, and what it is telling them is they're not coming from supermassive black holes. So what does that leave, Patrick?
Aliens.
Could be, or
think so.
Worse.
What?
What if they're sharks?
Oh, dear God.
Great sharks.
Oh, dear God, no. Why would you give me that?
We should have had the Jaws music ready for that.
Thankfully, no. I'm the one in charge of that. No. That was torture that one time.
Could be. You never know. Sharks in space.
God, no.
Here's an interesting, I guess you could call it an invention that the Australian Navy has been researching. It's a cold spray, and what they're calling it is a supersonic metal. When they're in their submarines, and things happen, accidents happen. Or something starts to crack open. Imagine if you're underwater, and you have a breach of the metal, that you have in the hull of your submarine. I mean, you could drown. Your water could come pouring in, and it could destroy the craft. They have learned how to take the spray. It's a spray that like a spray gun, and then they'll spray whatever hole or nick that they have. And it's so cold, and it's got little specks of metal in it that it'll clog a leak. It will clog the leaks. And what's really neat about it is then you don't have to take the submarine out of the water and go to a shipyard and repair it. They can repair it while they're in the middle of their mission. So that's interesting, and you can see where that's going to be something that will be for common use, in everyday life at some point when you get a dent in your car, and Patrick's shiny new car, you just spray it with some supersonic metal. There you go.
Yeah.
News to me. All right. I know those two were boring to you guys.
No, that first one was really, really cool. I like
Here's
space.
one. You do like space?
I do like space.
Here's one that I think will put a smile on your face. There's a couple in Britain who is thought to be the longest surviving married pair. They are celebrating their 80-year anniversary.
Dear Lord.
Oh.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Nancy and
That's
Eric
gold.
Kingston. Isn't that wonderful? They met in 1937 while they were on a blind date. They've just celebrated their 80-year wedding anniversary. Do you know what they say? And by the way, I'm trying to see if I can find the ages on here. They're both in their 90s. And what do you think they say one of the top tips of their... Oh, I think she's like 94 and he's like 93, something like this. So, she was robbing the cradle. So he's younger than she is. And they got married in 1940. Her brothers had escaped from Dunkirk, which was a big battle during the war.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
But what do you think their tip is for a long-lasting relationship? Long-lasting relationship. If you had to guess what's going to make you successful when the two of you settle down someday and you want it to be till death do you part, what do you think their opinion is that it's the key to a long-lasting relationship? Go ahead, Jesse.
I think just having fun with each other, never being too serious with one another. Friendship first. I think that's a great foundation.
I like that. That's a good one. How about you, Patrick?
I think laughter. Always be laughing, and always laughter's always the best medicine.
You know what? I think both of those are amazing, and I think you'd have to have those as part of any successful relationship. But with this couple who've been married 80 years, they say compromise.
That makes sense.
Compromise.
Yes. That makes sense.
So even if you have the funny, and even if you have we're going to constantly enjoy each other, be friends, you have to give in sometimes. And maybe you're like, all right, I don't want to do it her way, but I'm going to this time because I love them, and so the compromise. It makes sense, right?
It does.
Compromise is key. That's what they say.
Just keep that in mind, so that the three of us can have a long-lasting relationship.
Sounds good.
You guys ready to give away some free stuff?
Yes, sir.
Free stuff.
All right. The first person to call, 661-298-5487, or post us on Facebook Live at KHTS Radio with the right answer to my question, wins a $25 gift card from Hanu Coffee. All right, NFL coaches are returning to their offices. In fact, I think today they get to go back to their offices today. Football was invented in the 1880s. Who is credited with inventing it? Was it John Heisman, Walter Camp, George Gipp, or Bill Belichick? Call us at 661-298-5487, or you can post us on Facebook Live at KHTS Radio. If you're the first person with the right answer, you will win a $25 gift card from Hanu Coffee. NFL coaches back to work starting today. Football was invented in the 1880s. Who is credited with inventing it? John Heisman, Walter Camp, George Gipp, or Bill Belichick? Good luck. Coming up, are you not entertained? Is there a Gladiator 2 in the future? Plus, there will be, the question is, there will be a new Batwoman, but will she be the same Batwoman? I'm going to try to clear that up. You're listening to my radio show with Rick Garcia.
You really got me now. You got me so I can't sleep at night. Yeah, you really got me now.
If you'd like to take your business up a notch, take a look at Elite Magazine.
Linda and Mo Hafizi, owners of our Valley's two leading magazines, the Magazine of Santa Clarita and Elite.
I'm so proud of Elite. It allows your advertisement to stand out. We distribute Elite to 50,000 homes and businesses. You'll find us in 1,900 local hotel rooms.
Discover how Elite Magazine can help your business. Call 294-4444.
Superior quality is second nature to us. Just ask our advertisers.
There are times when nothing else will do because you know exactly what you want.
You want the Alamo, the taste of true Mexican cooking at its best. At Alamo, you're treated to a taste that is truly Mexican with an atmosphere to match. Enjoy a Cadillac margarita, try a mucho burrito, or sizzling fajitas. Voted the best Mexican food in the SCV and a favorite of former supervisor Mike Antonovich. Alamo Rotisserie in Granary Square, serving Santa Clarita for over 30 years.
Frontier Toyota, a proud supporter of my radio show with Rick Garcia, serving the Santa Clarita Valley for over 30 years. Experience Frontier Toyota's all-new hot and exciting 2020 Toyota lineup. Frontier Toyota, the Camry, Corolla, and Prius Kings. They're tops in Tacoma and Tundra trucks. Frontier Toyota, the new way of car buying. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom at Valencia and Creekside. Discover a whole new car buying experience with your friends at Frontier Toyota.
Hi, I'm Eric Goldhurst, Head of Operations for Burger King North America. Throughout this time, we've taken steps to take care of our guests.
And since we know many of your jobs have been affected by this crisis,
We want to help make sure you're taken care of too.
If you are looking for work, we are hiring.
And there's a spot on our team for you.
We know that we'll get through this together, as long as we keep taking care of each other.
For more information, call 253-3283. That's 253-3283.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Owning Corporation, Equal Housing Lender, licensed by the Department of Business Oversight under the California Residential Mortgage Lender Act, NMLS 1797976, California DRE license 02063270. Call 833-852-6464 for terms and conditions.
Crazy things are going on in the world right now, like owning funding 15-year fixed refis at 2.5 rate and APR. Yes, you heard correctly, 2.5 rate and APR with no fees of any kind. Needless to say, people are going to owning.com for this free closer rate and APR like mad. In fact, if you have both a real estate and mortgage license, we may want to hire you. Look, money is so dirt cheap, most folks are taking cash out of their equity to do just about anything, including sticking it into their bank accounts, just to have it there. Wouldn't you be crazy not to go to owning.com and grab 2.5 APR? No closing costs, no nonsense money while it's out there? Call 855-5-OWNING or go to owning.com to not miss these monthly savings. 855-5-OWNING.
Hey, what time is it?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Time for Who Am I? Celebrity birthdays. By the way, in that first hour, does anybody know how I did?
3 for 3, Rick.
3 for 3.
By the way, in record time.
Yeah, no,
we were
that
in
was
such a
literally
hurry.
record time on that.
Maybe you're
Okay,
better under
go ahead.
pressure.
Maybe he
Thank
is.
you. Thank
Under
you.
pressure.
All right, bring it on, Jessy.
All right. This first one is a rapper who has recently had a public lifestyle change concerning his sudden devotion to religion and particular political beliefs. His debut album was titled The College Dropout in the early 2000s. Other albums include Late Registration, Graduation, 808s and Heartbreak, and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. More recent albums include Jesus, The Life of Pablo, Yay, and Jesus is King. Some collaborations
Kanye?
are Watch the Throne.
Is it Kanye?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, the ding doesn't
Got
work
it.
in hour 2. Ding.
The bell's not working.
Dude,
I
it
only-
changed
what
on
is it?
me.
Do I only pay for 1 hour's worth of bells? Is that what I get
I
1
guess
hour's worth of sound
so.
effects on this show? Oh my God. Okay, go ahead. What's the
That's
next?
so weird.
This next one is an actor, singer, comedian, game show host who served as a regular on Whose Line Is It Anyway, and also was the host of his own talk show named after himself in the early 2000s. He is also the original host of Don't Forget the Lyrics and has hosted Let's Make a Deal. He has starred on Broadway
Wayne
as
Brady?
Simon, a.k.a. Yes! Rick, you're
Hey,
awesome
happy
today.
birthday to Wayne Brady.
Can you, no bells?
Ding. Ding.
Ding, ding,
Thank
ding.
I'll take it. How about, can you give me an Arnold Schwarzenegger ding?
Ding.
Okay, I'll take that. That's very nice. Okay, go ahead.
The last one is an actor who began as a child star on the hit Disney Channel show Even Stevens. He then went on to star in movies such as Holes, Disturbia, Surf's Up, Indiana Jones, Constantine, and Transformers.
Yes, Transformers. Oh, no. This is one where he's on a... And by the way, I think his acting is terrific, too. Go ahead. Give me another one just in case it brings the...
Okay. Other films include Eagle Eye, Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, Lawless, The Company You Keep, Nymphomaniac, Fury, American Honey, and The Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yeah, those were his recent movies. And, of course, he played with Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones. The Transformer movies starts with an S, right?
Yes.
You're there. You're there.
You ever have something right on the tip of your tongue?
You're
right?
so close, Rick. Like, I believe in you. You're so close.
I see his face. I actually met him one time at a place, let's just say. It was actually a bar. We're an after-work bar, and he was real sweet to somebody. Some girl was having trouble with her boyfriend, and he kind of stormed off and left her there, and she was crying. And now I got the name, Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
And Shia LaBeouf.
That's 6 for
Shia
6.
LaBeouf, you know, if you're at these little restaurants or nightclubs and stuff, sometimes there are ladies going around selling roses and stuff. So this lady happens to walk by. He grabs the rose. He buys the rose real quick, and he walks up to this poor woman who's crying and hands her the rose. He said, "I hope you'll be okay."
Oh,
and then,
I love that.
Of course, her boyfriend came back and got her. But yeah, Shia LaBeouf. Hey, what was my record?
That's 6 for 6 today, sir.
Oh,
that's the first time in a long time.
That's the first time in a
long time. Don't rub it in. Don't get smart with me.
Congratulations on your 6 for 6.
Thank you, Arnold. Did we, Jessy, a rumor has it we got a winner on our free stuff.
The rumor is so true. We have a winner of the free stuff question, the $25 Hanu Coffee gift card. The question was, football was invented in the 1880s. Who is credited with inventing it? The options were John Heisman, Walter Camp, George Gibbs, Bill Belichick. The answer was Walter Camp, and Jason from Santa Clarita won the $25 Honey Coffee gift card. So congrats.
Hey, where's our applause? Where's our applause, Patrick?
You know what? I got the applause. Congratulations, Jason.
Thank you. Nice job, Jason. And here's the thing. In those days, back in the 1880s, we were still playing rugby out here, believe it or not. And then Walter Camp started kind of goofing around with the rules. And little by little, he created, I think, one of the greatest sports on the planet, American football. So there you have it. Yes. Congratulations. That's awesome for Jason. Should we do my headlines?
Yeah. My headlines.
My headlines are brought to you by Frontier Toyota. The NBA Board of Governors approved a 22-team format to restart the season in Orlando, Florida. Under the plan, teams would begin training July 9th through the 11th, with games played from the 31st of July to October 12th. The top 16 teams in each conference would be joined by the teams currently within 6 games of 8th place. The bottom 8 teams would have a play-in tournament to qualify for the playoffs. Major League Baseball's owners rejected a proposal from the players to start the season that included a 114-game schedule with no additional salary cuts. There was no counteroffer from the owners. The league was shooting for an opening day around June 30th. And NFL coaches have been told that they can report to team facilities today. The maximum number of employees allowed in each facility is 100. Players who were rehabbing injuries before the lockdown began can continue to work out in the building, but the remainder of the players are not likely to report to team facilities until sometime next month. Great. Isn't that great news, you guys, as far as at the national level in professional sports goes?
Yeah.
Yes, I cannot wait. It is about time.
Now, it looks like, the NFL's on schedule. Really what they missed out on are just some off-season workouts that they have they were kind of limited with those anyway. So they'll go right into their camps in July and then get going. And then for the NBA, it looks like that thing's going to be up and running, so that will be a lot of fun. I'm worried about baseball.
Yeah.
They always have trouble negotiating deals. The players' union, remember we had Lee Steinberg, the super agent, on our show, and he said that without a doubt baseball's player union is the most powerful in all of sports. So the owners always have their hands full, and I see the owners having to cave in to the players' demands. And by the way, the players have already agreed to prorate their salaries, so they'll only be paid for the games that they play in. The owner's big gripe now is that they say that with no fans in the stands, they're going to be losing money. So we'll see what happens with baseball. We do need to see baseball get going. Here's some more good news. Our high school sports around the corner. It's time to bring back Friday Night Lights, and KHTS Sports Director Wyatt Smith has the latest.
Friday Night Lights.
Hello, and welcome to Friday Night Lights on My Radio Show with Rick Garcia. This is KHTS Co-Sports Director Wyatt Smith, and this week I had the opportunity to speak with CIF Southern Section Commissioner Rob Wygod about the expectations for competition in the fall.
Well, the first thing that we want to make sure everybody's aware of is that all options are on the table. It's really important that everyone understands that we're really focused on returning fall, winter, and spring sports during the 2020-2021 school year.
The health and safety of student athletes remains the Southern Section's #1 priority, but Wygod also acknowledged that the size of the Southern Section presents unique challenges.
A section as large as ours, we have a tremendously large geographic area. So we have counties in the north in Santa Barbara, and to the east in San Bernardino, and to the south in Orange County, and in the middle with Los Angeles County, where there are varying issues and varying recommendations that happen in those areas.
With this challenge in mind, one scenario that's been discussed is the possibility of a return to play without all members of the Southern Section.
Certainly that's not our ideal scenario, but there isn't going to be a horn sounding and an all clear, or 100% of our program will all return at the same time. It's not going to happen in that way.
Southern Section officials have also discussed calendar adjustments, allowing less contact-oriented sports to return sooner, and other potential paths forward. For now, however, like so many other aspects of American life, the future of high school sports remains uncertain as the coronavirus pandemic continues. And that's this week's Friday Night Lights. Catch more of our segments on My Radio Show with Rick Garcia when sports return. And for more from my interview with Commissioner Rob Wygod, read the full article at hometownstation.com.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
In a Hollywood Minute.
Do either one of you watch the TV series Batwoman? Have you guys seen that at all?
I have not.
No, I've not either.
Yeah, I haven't either. You know, the CW does a lot of the comic book. They're doing TV, the TV shows versions of a lot of the comic book stories. And Batwoman was a show that in season 1 starred Ruby Rose. Ruby Rose, the actress. We also remember her. I think it was from John Wick 2. She played one of the henchmen, I think, in that movie. And so she departed the show. And when that happens, your options are you recast the same character, Kate Kane in this case is the name of the character, who's Batwoman, and you just all of a sudden next season you show up and you got a different person doing it, right?
Yeah.
That is an option. Or you create a new character, and maybe in season 2 she's still Batwoman, but she's Jessy Holland. And
Ooh.
right? So
like
that way you can have a different person and it doesn't look so goofy. This has happened over time where an actor will leave a series and abruptly, and the show has to figure out what to do. Do we have the character die off? Well, you can't have Batwoman die off because the name of the show is Batwoman. Do you have a different person play that same character, or do you create a new character who can still be Batwoman? So that was there was a show when I grew up, and this is way before your time, but some old people like me out there listening will remember Bewitched. And Bewitched was a wonderful actress, Elizabeth Montgomery, and her husband's character was a guy named Darren. And you had one guy, and I can't remember the actors' names, but the character was played by one Darren, and I can't remember if he had a contract dispute or if he got sick or something like that. He left the show, and then all of a sudden, next season rolled around, it's a completely different Darren. Sometimes it's a little unusual to try to wrap your arms around a different person. Gladiator star Connie Nielsen, she played the emperor or the king's the daughter in the movie, says that she would be interested in appearing in a Gladiator 2 if they could work into Ridley Scott's schedule. The director, Ridley Scott, who did the first Gladiator. Now, obviously, Russell Crowe. Spoiler alert, Russell Crowe doesn't survive Gladiator 1, one of my all-time favorite movies, by the way. But Connie Nielsen there could be a Gladiator 2, to which I respond,
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Oh, my God.
Am I not merciful? That was one of Joaquin Phoenix's line in the movie. And, of course, Connie Nielsen, who says she'd love to reprise her role in it, had one of the great lines. He is a soldier of Rome. Honor him. Can I hear that one more time, please?
I really think so.
Hold on, Jesse.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Okay. Go ahead, Jesse.
I just really need to watch this movie. It's such a big part of your life. I feel like I'm missing out.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. When my wife saw it with me, she enjoyed it. Okay. Now there's a lot of violence in it because he's a gladiator. He has to fight people. He's a slave. He goes from being a legendary general, a leader of an army, and eventually winds up being enslaved and has to fight in these battles in the middle of, what looks like the Colosseum in Rome. And so there's a lot of violence, but there's also a love. There's unrequited love in the movie as well. And there are parts that are a little twisted because Joaquin Phoenix's character is such a twisted character. But anyway, I like it. Patrick, did you like the movie?
I did like it a lot. Okay. Joaquin Phoenix.
Can you play that one more time, please?
Yes, let's do it.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
This is the fourth time we played it today.
The listeners out there are thinking, why does he cut his cohorts off just to hear that? I don't know. I just have to. Listen, there's one other thing I want to mention real quickly. On demand, there's really nothing new out on demand. And so if you're looking for something to watch over the weekend, but I've been catching up on movies that I hadn't seen before that I thought, you know what, I'll try it. And one that I really enjoyed, and I think is very appropriate for the times, is called The Best of Enemies, if you have a chance to watch it. Rated PG-13. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes. It's a drama. Stars the wonderful Taraji P. Henson and Sam Rockwell. Think Hidden Figures, which was a great movie. This one also based on a true story. The movie centers on the unlikely relationship between an outspoken civil rights activist and a local Ku Klux Klan leader who reluctantly co-chair a community summit battling over the desegregation of schools in North Carolina during the racially charged 1971. The Best of Enemies. It really is, especially for the times. It's a good flick, I think, to see. Want to thank everybody. Thanks to my guests, my dear friend Joel and Forte, and of course Rusty George, lead pastor at Real Life Church. Aaron De La Torre is going to be in with some great music for your ride home. We'll see you next Friday, 1 to 3. Jesse, thanks. Patrick, thanks. You guys have a great weekend.
You as well.
You too.